I'm not like, I think there's, I'm not saying stay in Canada and rah, rah, and Canada's great, but there's also like, industry-wise, like, there's a lot to be, there's a lot to make, there's a lot of money to make down in the States, right? There's like so don't be afraid to go down there and grab that cash. Grab that and go.
Grab and go.
I do find that there's a difference with Canadian industry versus American industry.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yes.
So Canada sees a lot of colors in a certain way, and America views it as just on one kind of vibe, I've noticed.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. It's just kind of like, and it's like, and also the thing too here, I feel like sometimes the Canadian industry is too Canadian, you know, it's too like, I feel like a lot of times like, when people are making contracts or doing, or they're trying to like, fight for themselves, like I feel like the agents aren't fighting, they're just kind of like, oh, you know, this is a nice, oh, but did you get everything you could get? It's like, feels like a nice amount, but it's like, no, like, yo, get that bag, like, what are you doing? Like, it's like, get after it. I've done a lot of times, like, oh, well, you want to stay in a relationship, I'm like, what? So, I'm very thankful I still have an American lawyer. He's like, everyone's like, what are you doing up there? Come back to it. I was like, no, this is good. But people don't like, ever call my American lawyer. Because he's very much that, like, no, we're not doing that. So sometimes I feel like the Canadian industry can be a little too like, soft in places, but I think it's changing a little bit. Not fast enough for my like, but it's slow.
Some areas, but I still see the veil is still there.
Yeah, and especially with like, it's a big thing for me is like obviously like to see more people of color in gatekeeper positions. Like I feel like there are a lot more people of color coming into these executive positions where they're a little bit like they still report to white men and women who don't really understand why diversity is important. So it's kind of like you're still like something's changing, but like not everything's changing, and it's leading to like just stuff being the same, right? So it just feels like you think, oh, this is a little bit of progress, and then you realize, oh, is it though? Because it's just kind of like it's this like you just I just feel like sometimes you know what it's like you're like, hey, like I need water to survive. And they're like, oh cool, here's like 5 water bottles. You're like, oh, this is so good, I got 5 water bottles. But like you just have access to water, that'll solve the problem. And they're like, now you gotta go back for more water bottles, and this is not. So that's what it feels like sometimes. You know, it's kind of like you get like little solutions, but not full solutions.
Right.
And so it just keeps on. You have to keep on coming back for the agua.
Yeah.
So that's what it feels like right now. It feels like we don't have access like we should to everything.
The way it should.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because we've come a long way. But
Yeah.
it's not recognized in that fashion.
Not quite there yet.
Yeah.
So you gotta do is just woosah.
Well, I'd like to open the floor. If anyone has any questions for Anthony, this would be the time. Questions.
So,
How many brothers were in the room on The Office? Was it like were you all together or?
Yeah. So the question is, how many writers were in the room for The Office? When I got there was like 14 of us. Yeah, it's wild. The thing you don't realize how you think, oh, that's not writers, and then the whole thing with a lot of American shows, especially the network shows, you're doing pre-production, production, and post-production at the same time. Because the shows you shoot a show, and then 3 or 4 weeks later, it's on the air, right? And that's like, it can be that fast, right? So there are times when we had 14 writers, but then there are times when I looked around and I was like, oh, there's only 3 of us here right now. Because you have a writer who's writing an episode right now for the following week. You have a writer who's on outline for the episode that's 2 weeks later. You have a couple of writers who are on set. You have another writer who's in the edit working on this episode we just shot. and then the rest of us are pitching ideas, and sometimes we'll split off into different rooms so that we can pitch B stories and A stories and all of them. So you think, oh, there's a lot of people, and then you realize, oh, you need them though, because there's a lot of work to be done, especially on a show like The Office, where the season's out with it. We were supposed to do 30 episodes that first season I was there, season 4. I think they had ordered like 28 to 30 episodes, which is a big order for a season. Normally it's like 22. No, back then it was only 22. And then in season 5, we did like 20. We got an order for 28, and we ended up doing 29 because one of the episodes was expanded to a 2-parter. So those were like big. So you think about like how much we were doing, and then you realize, yeah, it's a big room. It's like we used. Everyone was busy. And don't get me wrong, there are times when we're also like playing Rock Band and just kind of like waiting for something to do. But for the most part, there are also times where you're like you know, it's like, I just remember like, there was, I think during season 5, we had to do a bunch of episodes in a row because of schedules and different reasons. And there was times when we were like we're there till like, you're having dinner, there was lunches and dinners, getting home at like 9 o'clock at night because we were just like grinding on scripts and getting things together. So it was, and all of us were there working all the time. And The Office too is a little more difficult because we had writers who were actors in the show. So a lot of times they're, you know, Mindy and BJ and Paul were on set. So that's 3 writers right there that are like, you know, they have to go do makeup and get dressed and do all that sort of stuff. And then they're in a conference room scene, and so boom, they're gone. And now we got to figure some stuff out. And it was interesting too because for Paul Lieberstein especially, like he was the showrunner in season 5. So to be on set and then show running, and that's the real reason Toby left the show. There's that Goodbye Toby episode where he left and then Holly shows up, and obviously there's an opportunity to be there with Amy Ryan and love interest and all sorts of stuff. But honestly, Paul was like, I can't be on set. But I'm like breaking episodes and those other stuff, he's been running so ragged. So that was one of the solutions. It's just like, all right, Toby's going to Costa Rica. That's one of my favorite scenes to watch because there's that scene where Toby decides he's going to go to Costa Rica and he just touches Pam's leg and then he realizes what he's doing, and then was it the night out episode? I think it was the night out episode. They're trapped in the parking lot, and then he runs out the door, and then a stunt double. The camera swings and then a stunt double jumps over the fence and just runs down the street. It's just one of my favorite moments to just see Toby just like, going to Costa Rica. And he just jumps over the fence and he ghosts. I was like, I always love watching that. That was a long answer to that. That was a long answer to your question.
Anthony, thank you so much. I was very inspired by your story. And it was a pleasure being on show as like one of the security guards of the library. It was actually, I'm going to be honest, it was the best time I've ever had.
Aww.
It was so funny, like doing the inserts. But my question for you is, do you think you'll ever do a feature film? Or like write or produce it?
I don't think I'll ever write or produce a feature film. Sonny wants to know special. I would love to. I've been very lucky to have been very busy. I've also, I've been close to like selling features to people. I wrote a feature with a friend of mine that right now like Disney's looking at right now. But it would be like a TV. But then they're like, oh, we're gonna give you like TV movie money. And I was like, all right, whatever. But so I've written some. I would love to make it happen. I don't have anything right now that I can say that's popping off yet. But it's one of those things where it's like, I would love to do that. And it's a different situation though. Like I talked to you about the control thing, right? So like in TV, like the writers control things because it's like directors come in for a couple episodes and then they're gone, so the writers has to be in charge of like the showrunner has to be in charge of like making sure things are smooth all the way through, right? On a film set, the director's in charge. The director is the showrunner, the director's the person that's doing all that stuff. So I would love to write a film and just hand it over to somebody and just be like, hey, make it happen. It hasn't happened for me yet. I've been close a couple times, and I've been like, and then it didn't pan out. But I'm open. Tell the universe I'm open.
I have a question. So again, like I really, I'm inspired by you. I told you that many, many times, and I am gonna say it again. Everybody who knows me knows that's exactly the route I want to go. Like I really want to follow your career and do the same. But I was wondering, what is the best time of your career, and what is the worst? Because there's always a good time, but there is also the bad time.
Yeah, I think for me, like, there's been a lot of best times in my career. I'm very big on like community and working with people and having a good time. Like, and I've had a lot of really positive experiences working on a lot of shows. Like, so anytime I'm with very creative, very fun people working on something, I'm having the best time. So like, I have a lot of the best times. Like, the worst times for me have all been like when, like those times when you just kind of like start to doubt whether or not you can do it. You know what I mean? Like I talk about like the Macy's thing. Like I'm just like working at full insurance. Just like, was I right around the office? Did that even happen? Like what's going on right now? Like, am I gonna get back to those places? And those times, like when you're like second guessing things and doubting things and worried you're never gonna like make it. Like it's just one of those, especially like coming from like an immigrant family where it's like. I remember when my mother was like kind of blessed this life, you know what I mean? Like, because growing up, I was going to be a teacher in drama and math, but then one summer I was doing theater in Vermont. I was doing summer stock theater in Vermont, and I was like, and it was one of my professors at Queens brought me down, and this regional theater, they had like Broadway performers like at the theater. And I did Candide, and I did Once on This Island, and the people I was working with, I had small parts with people I was working with, were all on Broadway. Like, there was a woman named Marcy Ariel who had just left. She was playing Mimi in Rent on Broadway. And the next show she did was Candide and I was like, and then my mom drove down and she saw one of the plays. I was like 22, 23. And then she saw one of the plays and she's like, so you're doing this, huh? And I said, I think so. And then that was the moment. I was like, I gotta make it now. I gotta do something now. So there are times when like you make it and you're like, oh, mom's proud. And then you're like, oh, but now I'm at Macy's. Oh, am I doing it? So there are those, and those times happen. They happen like they just happen. Like you never know when those things, those little voices are gonna come sneak on you and be like, oh, you ain't nothing, dog. Like, what, you think you something? Like, nobody cares about you. Like, those voices will pop up whenever. Like, you just never know when they're gonna come, right? So those are the times where you're just like, oh God, what am I doing here? But I've been very lucky that I haven't. Like, those voices have been like, I've gotten to a place. Also, you get to a certain age where you're kind of like, whatever, boys. I'm moving on. I'm doing my thing. Like, I don't time for that. Like, you just get to a place where you're kind of like, whatever it is whatever it is, right? Yeah. I feel like I hit 40 and I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know why I cared so hard about how everything looked for so long. Just like, you get to like where you give 0 Fs. You just kind of like, I don't know, this is who I am. This is what it is. And you just let go of like all those like all the games, I guess. You just kind of go for it. And I feel like letting that stuff go makes it so much easier. I feel like it's that Erica got your bag lady song, right? Like, bag lady, you're gonna hurt your back, carrying all the bags, and you let them bags go. It's like, it's easier to move when you don't have those bags in, right? So, did that answer your question?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Hey, what's up?
So earlier I heard you say that the industry up here isn't booming, it's not getting better, but working crew side, I work locations and stuff on a lot of TV shows and film, and also some acting as well, all the place. I see the industry growing a lot. I know Disney just opened an office here, Netflix is also opening an office, and so what you're saying is that's small fries compared to what's happening out in LA.
Well, here's the thing too, like, a lot of those offices are are growing, but they're going to be bringing up American people to do shows here, right? Like, one of the cool things I love about the DGC, and that's different from the Writers Guild of Canada, is that the DGC is like, oh, when you come here to do shows, you got to hire DGC talent as well as your American talent. So there are directors who are working on American shows here. That's not the same case for the writers who are here. The writers are American writers, writing shows down there, and then so the Writers Guild is not really getting anything from these American shows. So I guess it was more like, that's more about the writers, I think, for moving to LA. Like, a lot of writer friends of mine, like, should I go down there? Like, listen, you can make it happen. Because what'll happen is you'll go down there, you will get a Writers Guild of America contract, and they'll probably shoot your stuff in Canada. So you'll come back, they'll fly you back home to work on your own show, which is, I think that I know is happening for a bunch of people, right? But I think you're right, like, there are a lot of things going on here right now, because even like with Canadian shows, like, it's hard to find studio space because American companies are coming up here and shooting stuff and doing a lot of things here because tax credits and all those things. And I think it's good for business. It's good for the cities that are getting all those places to like bring money into the system. But I think it's more specifically for the writers who are like here looking at stuff get shot by American writers and then being like, how do I get into this business? And it's just like, well, you got CBC, you got CTV, you got Rogers, you